After 18 nights of New Japan action, we have arrived to the finals of this year's G1 Climax Tournament. Welcome everyone to my final night of coverage of this prestigious tournament. I am your host, the natural Chris Black of the Saturday Night SlamCasters podcast, independent professional wrestler, and everybody's favorite narcissist. Now, because life always keeps me busy, I am a few days later than I would like to have been, so I'm going to do things a little different for this review. I'll briefly cover the undercard matches, cover the shocking return of Shibata, what happened during the G1 final match between Okada and Ibushi, and what has happened since. So with that in mind, let's get to it. Alright, the night starts out with a match between El Desperado and Kanemaru defeating Oiwa and Fujita. Young Lions really put up a good fight against the team of Suzuki-gun. They utilized a very basic understanding of tag team strategy, which consisted of knocking the partner of their opponents off of the apron, preventing tags, and keeping the other man isolated. But as usual, the Young Lions fell victim to a Boston Crab submission. But this was not an easy win for Suzuki-gun. They actually had to work for it. Alright, first match of the main card. You have Yano and Nagata defeating Great O-Kahn and Jeff Cobb. And Jeff Cobb has his neck taped a bit, probably from that neck breaker he suffered in his match with Okada. They kept things light, but they still put on a good performance. Yano utilized his normal offense to fight off the United Empire, who seemed to be taking out their tournament frustrations on Yano and Nagata. Nagata was able to shine a bit, taking Cobb down with an enziguri and delivering an exploder suplex on Great O-Kahn. The United Empire double-teamed Yano, each taking turns giving him gut-wrench suplexes. Great O-Kahn then demanded that Yano kiss his feet, but instead caught a low blow and was rolled up for the pin. Now, I don't exactly agree with United Empire losing, especially after a great performance by Jeff Cobb going 8-1 in the tournament, so I don't really understand where they're going with them losing on the final night of the tournament. In the next match, we have House of Torture members Evil, Sho, and Yujiro Takahashi defeating the six-man never openweight champions Goto, Ishii, and Yoshi-Hashi. However, this was not for the titles, and it was actually a pretty good matchup between these two teams. Hopefully, this match will lead to a future title defense, perhaps at Power Struggle, maybe a little too soon for that, but House of Torture will more than likely win these titles when they do have this match. They jumped the Chaos team at the start of the match. Again, it was a pretty good match, House of Torture being the heeliest of heels and Chaos being the babiest of faces, fighting hard but constantly being stopped by the cheating ways of this new side faction. Just as the Chaos team was about to pick up the victory, Dick distracts a pin, the referee got bumped, Sho lays out Ishii with the chair, which then leads to Evil delivering an Everything is Evil for the win. And at the end of the match, Evil is holding up the six-man never openweight title, officially making their intentions known. So again, looking forward to this match. Next up, we have Bullet Club members Kenta, Chase Owens, and Gorillas of Destiny defeating Tanahashi, Makabe, Honma, and Tiger Mask. Not really going to say much about this. I mean, it was a match. I thought this was to set up the title match between Tanahashi and Chase, especially since Owens picks up the win for his team with a pretty ugly package piledriver. But shockingly, Kenta is the one that jumps Tanahashi with the US title after the match. Later I find out that Owens is actually set to return to the US for a bit, so he passed that title opportunity on to Kenta. So we get a brief intermission. You know, they got to sanitize the ring, which great idea for all promotions. Then we get Zack Sabre Jr.'s music, and he comes walking out alone because apparently Tai Chi is taking off some time so he can heal. Those ribs took one hell of a beating. Again, hats off to that man. His last three matches were just brutal. And holy shit, out comes Katsuyori Shibata looking like he's not just there to say a few words. It is announced that they will be having a 5-minute UFW rules exhibition match. I'm not even going to attempt to break this match down hold for hold. This is something that you need to see for yourself to truly appreciate it. The moves were fluid, Shibata has not lost a step. This match goes to a time limit draw. It was indeed a very special surprise. But that wasn't it. Shibata then gets on the mic and declares the next time he's in the ring, it'll be for an actual match. After 4.5 years, what was once considered impossible has now become possible. Just like Bryan Danielson and Edge returning to the ring after injury when nobody thought they would ever return, Shibata may also have a second go at his career. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops. We get another 8-man tag match next. The team of LIJ, Shingo Takagi, Bushi, Himuro Takahashi, and Sanada defeated the team of Tenzan, Master Wato, Taguchi, and Kojima. Again, it was an 8-man tag and it was a match. LIJ worked well together to take down their opponents. Taguchi may have suffered an injury to his shoulder in the opening of the match, which would really suck if he was scheduled to compete at the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. So hopefully he's okay. There was a lot going on in this match, but it was not a clusterfuck. It was not a clusterfuck. In the end, Shingo picks up the victory for his team with a pumping bomber. And now the moment we all were waiting for, the G1 Climax Finals. Kazuchika Okada defeating Kota Ibushi by referee stoppage. Which, when I saw it, I was like, what the fuck? But people's health is more important than anything. Well, let's get to the match. The match started out with a fairly good feeling out process. These two were pacing themselves for what I believe would have been a much longer match. After about 5 minutes, the match suddenly picks up as Okada goes for the Rainmaker but misses. It's a very good match between these two, as one would expect from Okada and Ibushi. There was fighting on the outside, Okada kept going for the money clip, and surprisingly, Okada held the advantage for the majority of the first 20 minutes in this match. But then finally, Kota Ibushi started to build momentum, nailing Okada with a leaping knee, followed by a Kamigoye, but only for a 2 count. Now, I really figured this would be a long match if Okada kicked out of the first Kamigoye attempt. Ibushi counters a Rainmaker with a lariat of his own, and then he heads to the top rope. And then it happened. He goes for a Phoenix Splash, a move he's done hundreds of times, but on this occasion, when Okada moved out the way, he landed badly, and it was immediately obvious that something went wrong. It doesn't take long before Red Shoes calls for the bell. Okada's music plays, and that's it. Match over. Okada is declared the winner. Again, when I saw this, my mouth dropped like, oh my god, this fucking sucks. The doctors rushed in to check on Ibushi. He seemed to be in a lot of pain based on his body language, and it looked like they actually had to set his shoulder while he was still in the ring. They ended up having to undo the bottom rope in order to get him out of the ring. Later, we find out that it was a right anterior dislocation of the shoulder and joint lip damage, and he's scheduled to be out of action for 2 months. So hopefully for a speedy recovery for Kota Ibushi and he can return in time for Wrestle Kingdom. But again, if not, his health is more important above everything else. It's sad that the G1 started with an injury on the first night with Tetsuya Naito and ended with the injury on the final night. Again, that just fucking sucks. Well, post-match, we get Okada requesting that he carry the former IWGP Heavyweight title in place of the usual G1 briefcase with the contract. He then states he would like to face Ibushi again since this was not the kind of victory that he wanted. He goes on to claim that Ibushi is still the IWGP Heavyweight Champion in his opinion, and the G1 winner must face the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He then states that he doesn't recognize IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Shingo Takagi, and says Shingo must beat him in order to prove he's the champ he says he is. Shots fired. So he's hinting that at Wrestle Kingdom 16, they're going to determine who is the true top dog in NJPW. Also backstage, Tama Tonga made it clear that he would be challenging Okada for the G1 briefcase since he was the only one to score a victory over Okada during the tournament. This match will be taking place at Power Struggle. So this is what I've kind of thought what could potentially happen at Wrestle Kingdom. Night 1, Okada defeats Kota Ibushi. I truly believe that he was supposed to win anyway, but the fact that he wants to actually have a match once again because that's not how we wanted to win is honorable. So Okada defeats Kota Ibushi once again, night 1. Night 2, Will Ospreay comes back to challenge Shingo, and he wins, proving he is the undisputed IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. But then, on night 3, Ospreay will face Okada in a rematch 1 year in the making. And if I had it my way, Ospreay will be beating him. But Okada could defeat Ospreay and then separate the titles again. It all depends on what direction they want to go from here on out. But Wrestle Kingdom 16 is a couple months away, and my feelings may change as we get closer to that event. On a side note, the on the first night of the Road to Power Struggle, Okada does come out with the old IWGP World Heavyweight title. So he seems like he will be carrying that around until Wrestle Kingdom. So now we have 3 heavyweight championships floating around New Japan. Shingo Takagi got the World Heavyweight Championship over in the United States. You have Will Ospreay, the true World Heavyweight Champion. And you also have Okada carrying around the old Heavyweight Championship title. So the next few months are going to be interesting, to say the least. But with that being said, I think it's time to take it home. I want to thank you for tuning in for my coverage of the G1 Climax Tournament. And if you want to relive the tournament through my eyes, the 2021 G1 Climax playlist is available on this channel. And if you've enjoyed my reviews, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you won't miss any of my NJPW event reviews. You can find me on all social media. Links are in the description. That'll take you to my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. And let's not forget to show the Saturday Night SlamCasters some love. Links are in the description. That'll take you to our podcast host site, our YouTube channel, Facebook page, and our Facebook group. Until next time, my fellow New Japan heads, come get slammed.